Today's episode, Death and Doom.
Again.
Hello.
Hi.
How are y'all doing? Today we're gonna
Yeah, we're not doing it.
we're gonna talk about Death and Doom. I guess again. Yeah. We've had
and
some.
believe it or not, we're not talking about Molly's this time.
Yeah, we're not talking about Molly's. We're actually talking about the Plecos. We had some horrible news. Very sad news for Shiva, especially.
Yeah, but not the first time it's happened. So.
Yeah, no, I mean, we've told you the story about our weird Pleco where they all died, and our weird Mollies where they all died. The bristlenose all died at one time.
Yeah, well, more than once.
More than once, yeah, twice that's happened.
Basically, once in a blue moon, we just have this thing happens where all the Plecos die. And usually it's the bristlenose because we breed those.
Right.
So we'll have a perfectly healthy,
balanced tank.
Nice balanced tank, perfectly healthy crop of Plecos, and all of a sudden they're all belly up, and we're like, what the hell happened?
And there's nothing wrong with the water. Everything is good. There's no ammonia spike.
Right.
There's nothing we can tell.
Yeah. So I thought that this was just something that was specific to bristlenose Plecos, kind of like how we have the Molly death curse.
The Molly death curse. Yeah, we figured it was a bristlenose curse or something.
Yeah. But this time it hit two other subspecies of Plecos, and
I'm sure they remember that the two rhinos and the standard Pleco that we rescued were all in the same tank.
Right.
With the angelfish.
So we had in one tank we have a catfish, we've got
an angelfish,
we've got a common Pleco and two rhino Plecos. They were all in the same tank. And this happened, not too long ago. I was walking by the tank and I noticed that the common Pleco was upside down and not
alive,
not the usual upside down.
Right.
Now, considering it was smaller than the rhinos, and every now and then
he
the
did
rhinos
get bullied a bit.
Yeah, every now and then the rhinos would bully him. So I thought, okay, maybe they finally just bullied this poor Pleco to death.
Yeah.
So
because we were going to be moving him.
Yeah, my plan was, as it warmed up, I was going to get him into the outside pond with the plant pond.
Right.
Well, he never made it to that, so I was like, okay,
Check the water.
Check the water, water's
sure.
fine, everybody else is fine. The next day, the two rhinos are dying. They weren't completely dead when I found them, but they were dying. So
and I don't know if you've known Shiva for long, like I have, but she goes above and beyond for these fish.
Yes, so I immediately get them out of the tank, get them into what I call a hydro tank, which is pumping a tank. Basically I had a cooler is what I had. I didn't have a hospital tank up and running at the time, so I grabbed a large cooler, got some air bubbles in there, got prime in there, and just bubbled it out, basically super oxygenated. Because I'm thinking, okay, usually whenever I've got a problem with that, it's usually either an ammonia thing or it's a not enough aeration thing, and it just needs to get air through the gills and all that. But this works half the time.
Yeah, it's not 50% of the time at least.
Yeah, I mean,
she's actually pretty good at it. I was sad when you told me that they both all three of them passed.
But basically the two rhinos passed within 48 hours of the other one, so it was like, okay, what the heck's going on?
But the damn angelfish is fine, the water is fine.
The angelfish is fine, the water's fine, the catfish is fine. My two kittens, Ivar and Bjorn, are very upset because that's their tank. And they can tell that they're missing some fish. They were quite upset about this.
You did do a full water change just to be safe. I mean, it wasn't
full water change.
But there's nothing. I mean, again, and if you have any issues with that, we would love to hear it, because we've experienced it before. And we always thought maybe we missed something with the Plecos where they just all of a sudden randomly all of them die.
Yeah.
Because I've had it in my tank, you've had it in your tanks, we've had it in the breeding tanks, and it happens fast. There's no reason. We always assumed, there must be an ammonia spike we didn't know about, but we check it and there's not.
Yeah.
So we have no idea. And this cross species basically.
Well,
not subspecies. Yeah. Because they weren't the same type of Pleco.
Yeah, but that was the weird thing, because I've always had it where it's just been like all the bristlenose in one tank would go up, belly up.
Yeah.
But I've never had it where it was like two different subspecies of Plecos going within 48 hours of each other. It was just very strange. And the two rhinos went at the same time.
Right.
So
we don't know.
We have no idea, because it's not the first time this has happened, but just the first time.
First time for these larger ones.
Larger ones.
Which was sad. I mean, we would love to hear if anybody else has had these weird issues with their Plecos for random deaths, and they weren't old enough. These were not old Plecos.
No, we got them in 2020, so they were only 5 years old.
Yeah, and then we don't know how old. I mean, the catfish is fine, the angelfish is fine. We don't know what happened.
Yeah.
But you know, it's a thing. So
And then-
death and doom for us is
Yeah.
you know just a weird,
I mean, I still have the other 2 rhinos from that same clutch who are in a different tank, and they're
perfectly
fine. Okay.
As is
Roomba, who's
Roomba.
almost
Perfect.
10.
Yeah. So it's not an age thing. And the standard Pleco was very young.
Yeah.
You know, he was a couple years old, but he wasn't very young compared to like the big ones that you have in the koi ponds. So they're letting us know that they're in the koi ponds right now.
Yeah.
But
So
I mean, I
it-
feel bad, but
Yeah, but it
we don't know what caused it.
But we don't know what caused it. Now,
that's what's so stressful, I think.
Yeah. Now, normally when I've got a sick fish, there are times where I have no idea what's going on, and I just do
Bombard them with
I bombard them
medicines.
with stuff. Basically, the first thing I do is I hit it with the air.
Right. 'Cause that's one of the most common.
One of the most common is just an imbalance in the water, and there might be a little bit of pneumonia going on there. Some fish are more sensitive to ammonia than others.
Which I know most plecos are.
Yeah. Usually my cories are my first indicator
Yeah.
that something's wrong, because they won't die necessarily, but they'll start being upside down. And then as soon as you see all your cories upside down at the same tip, and even though they're still alive, that's the first thing that tells you, okay, there was an ammonia problem. But we also have the tags, and I check the water regularly. So we knew it wasn't an ammonia problem with them.
Right.
Now, I was thinking maybe bad food, but there wasn't any indication of that. And the other catfish would have gotten sick
Yeah, 'cause the
too.
catfish eats the
Because
same
catfish
thing.
eats more than the plecos do.
Right.
That catfish is like a little hog. So we knew it was
Bully hog to top it off.
yeah, so it wasn't a food thing, and it wasn't an ammonia thing. And the fact that it did cross between the rhinos and the common, I couldn't think of anything else that was a common denominator for them except for possibly an illness. But then again, I don't know how these things develop.
Yeah, we don't know enough. So
Yeah.
I mean, if you specialize in plecos, we would love to hear about it.
Yeah, because it's
We'd
not like
love
we
to hear some
introduced-
ideas.
Yeah, because the fish that have been in that tank have been in the same tank for years. We haven't introduced any new fish into there. or
We haven't
anything.
removed anybody, taken, you know, other than the regular basic water changes and basic stuff we
Yeah.
do. We haven't
And I
done
don't
anything.
keep live plants in that one either, because the angelfish likes to get caught in them. So there's no new live plants and no new microbes being introduced to the tank that way. There's
Plenty of aeration, there's
Yeah.
the water levels, the water's good, we don't know. We have no idea what happened. We feel bad though, because we were hoping to eventually breed those, and try to figure out a way to breed the
Yeah.
rhinos.
no.
We still have the 2 left, and then we have Roomba, who's not going to cooperate with that. So
Yeah.
we're hoping that there's opposite sex.
Yeah. But it's just very strange how that happens.
So maybe maybe you should contact the people that you bought the Plecos from and ask them if there's something that they have ever heard of.
Maybe.
That might be an option, because we don't know what happened. If you do, like I said, tell us. If you think you know, we would love
or
to know.
if you've ever had it happen to you,
Yeah,
because it
we'd love
usually
it.
just hits plecos in a tank.
Yeah,
Because I mean that's happened before with the bristlenose where
with
we
my
had
tank.
them,
Remember, I
Yeah,
lost
you've had-
5 of them in one like 3 days.
and you have a whole menagerie in your tank
Yeah.
with all different types of fish
Yeah.
and whatnot. And it's just
And it was
the
just the Plecos. I didn't lose any other fish that time. Now I did lose all the mollies that one time and no other fish. And then I
Yeah.
did one time lose like 6 guppies for no reason that I could ever tell, but no other fish. So, but those are very weak fish anyway. So, but the Plecos
Yeah,
are not
plecos
usually.
aren't usually weak. I mean, we had one common pleco. In fact, she's still with us today, Daredevil,
Yeah.
who had gotten stuck in a sump on one of the outside ponds, and we thought we'd lost her. And then it was like several months later, as I'm cleaning out the sump, and I see that, wait a minute, you're not a tadpole, and it's this baby pleco that had been like living on stagnant water
Yeah,
for
so-
months. So we
yeah.
know that they're pretty
Hardy fish,
hardy.
yeah.
You know.
But anyway, we were kind of sad about that. But yeah, if you know anything, let us know.
But I did want to touch a little bit on fish first aid when it comes to whenever you notice that your fish are starting to act weird. With the plecos, the two rhinos, obviously I knew something was wrong when they were acting the way they were. They were starting to stiffen up. They weren't acting like fish. They were acting like look, we're dying. I know
Look,
that
we're
sounds
dying.
horrible, but plecos are hard. It's not like they're full of personality.
Right.
But like I said, the first thing I do is I put them into a separate hospital area. Normally I have a hospital tank running at all times. That just didn't happen to this time because I was cleaning out other tanks. So I have a cooler, big old cooler. That works too. Anywhere where you can isolate them, where you can get as much air to them as possible, and as much you want an ammonia blocker in there because you're not going to have a lot of room for a filter or whatever. But the key is air. That's usually, if it's any type of ammonia or anything like that, or any type of thing that's constricting their breathing, you want to get as much air into them as possible. My biggest success story was Igare when we had we had some of the koi on the outside pond, and someone had turned off the pumps overnight. And Yagore, who's my karasu, she turned orange because their undercoat for karasus are orange. And I didn't recognize her at first, and she was barely alive, and I got her out, and I immediately got her into a container, had tons of air going. I spent about 12 hours with that first.
Yeah.
Until she started getting her color back and swimming around. And she's been my biggest success story, which I'm so glad.
I don't know, Finless Wonder was your biggest success story, or the
Well, yeah, I
Tailless
brought
Wonder.
the tail back, but
Yeah.
but
To me,
yeah.
but Yagore was a good one too.
Yeah. But I have had other fish where another trick is people like to put salt into the water to help with the getting the air going. Salt is tricky because
Yeah, I see
if you
guppies.
put too much,
Guppies didn't do
yeah.
well with salt.
If you
because
put
they're
too much
small.
in, it can hurt them. And then plecos, it doesn't do well with at all, which is why I didn't put salt in with plecos because they're very sensitive to salt.
Okay.
Now, a
Yeah.
trick that I did learn further on down the line is instead of regular salt, use a little bit of Epsom salt. Something about it, it's a little bit gentler for the fish. It helps open up the breathing for them a little bit better. It's not quite as toxic for them.
Okay.
So I know that sounds horrible, but too much salt is toxic for a fish, unless it's a saltwater fish. But
Yeah, right.
Yeah, but
It's probably toxic for them too if it's too much.
Yeah, yeah. You want
Freshwater. These are freshwater fish, people.
right?
We
But-
don't need those comments.
Yeah, but I had heard somebody talk about using a little bit of Epsom salt, so I started doing like a 50-50 mix between the Epsom salt and the regular salt, and I've had some degree of success with that.
Right.
And it hasn't been quite as harsh on the fish as straight up salt would. But then, if they don't have visible signs, basically it's looking over. Now, the plecos didn't have any visible signs. There were no bumps, there was no redness, there was nothing like that.
Nothing pale,
That would
nothing obvious.
indicate an infection or something like that. I mean, sometimes when the fish have tumors, you can pretty much tell that that's going to be cancer. 9
Right.
times out of 10, that's going to be cancer. Not a lot you can do about that. Sometimes you'll see like red stripes on a fish or whatever. That's usually ammonia burn, so it means you have an ammonia issue. Sometimes you'll see like we have not the ick, but the fish herpes.
Yeah, we have fish herpes.
Has,
Yeah.
which are larger spots than ick. Ick is small powdery stuff. There's so much that can go wrong and can upset your whole tank. I suggest if you have
You
like
definitely want to
fish
remove them from any other fish immediately if you see a fish that's sick, though. That
Yeah,
is
you wanna-
quick, because if it is something contagious, they will transmit it to the others quickly. So if you see even one fish sick, get it out of your tank. Put it in a hospital tank.
But I mean, a lot of the times, like if it's sick, it's already too late.
I
if
know.
You see it.
Yeah, I mean, but like in
But
our
yeah.
case where there was nothing obvious, get it out of the tank.
Yeah, get it out of the tank, get it into a hospital tank, be prepared to be babying this fish, and you may or may not lose it. I was giving up. I was hoping that I was going to be able to save the rhinos, but since I had no idea what was wrong with them, it was a little bit harder to treat.
Right.
You know, we've talked about having fish first aid kits before, where you have like the Permaflex and Metaflex, and you have.
Well, we already have that.
Mm-hmm.
We do have that.
Yeah, we do have
But
all that.
nothing
But
works,
if you
yeah.
don't know, what you're treating,
Yeah, you got to kind of be careful. So
It is
because you don't want to.
tricky.
Because yeah, if you treat them with the wrong medicine or too much medicine, it's
Mhm.
going to have the same effect.
yeah.
So-
So like we have a couple different sources that we can look up real quick to look for like symptoms, so we know the difference between ick and some of the other
herpes
things.
and-
Now the herpes, that one was even stumped our
Yeah,
pros.
that's something.
It took a while for us to figure
Figure
out
out what
that
that
she
one
had,
was. Yeah. Yeah.
because it was just not common for
Where she
for
was.
where we were at.
Yeah, but welcome to our world,
Right.
the relaxing hobby that we have.
Yes, yes. But when you're dealing with a fish where there's no outward signs,
It's
the
harder.
only thing you can really do at this point is a little bit of salt, a lot of air in the water, and keep an eye on it.
Yeah, and hope.
Yeah, I mean,
Yeah, but yeah, we don't know. We still don't know. So yeah, if you know, or if you've had that issue, we'd love to hear about it because we love comments.
yeah,
Um,
yeah,
and Mr. Captions love comments, not ours.
yeah.
Not our comments,
Yeah.
but other people's. He likes other people's comments. But no, if you have any ideas, we'd love to hear it.
Yeah.
We're still trying to make Koirana.
Mhm.
We still have the shops. Still want you to buy stuff. Still want you to subscribe. Still want you to like us. Still
Yeah.
want you to watch our episodes.
Yes, please like us.
Please like us. You don't have to like us. Just like the show.
Yeah.
Because we're hard to like.
Yes, we are.
Yes, we are.
We
I was
are.
gonna change my shirt on camera just so you guys get a freebie, but she would talk me out of it.
Yeah.
She's like, they will run for cover.
Yeah, we
so,
will lose subscribers.
Yeah. Might ban us from YouTube.
Right.
But But if you have any comments, suggestions,
Yeah.
and I haven't even been drinking today yet.
I know,
Did
right?
I say yet? I haven't
Yeah, I
been
heard
drinking
you say
today.
yes.
Stop that sentence. I haven't been drinking today.
Mhm.
Comments, suggestions, is that the word I was trying to go for?
Suggestions.
Suggestions.
Yes. English is hard.
Like, yeah. Words are hard.
Words are hard.
Words are hard. Speaking is hard. But anyway, yeah, we would love to hear from you. We really would. We would really love for you to buy things. We are going to go on some field trips now that it's getting warmer.
Yeah,
Hopefully before the hurricanes come,
I was
which are
about to
coming.
say, yes, our first field trip will be at a shelter because
Right? Shelter in place. But yeah, so we're hoping to do a couple of things this summer, some fun stuff.
Yeah, but it's kind of weird because it went from cold to boiling like overnight.
Overnight for us. Literally it was like literally May, and it was overnight, almost over 100 degrees something most
Yeah,
of the days.
because we had a few things that we were planning. We were like, okay, we're waiting for spring for it to warm up just a
Woohoo,
little
we're
bit.
gonna go ride the horses in the
Yeah.
spring, and then there was no spring.
Yeah, then there was no spring. We went
we were-
from winter to summer.
Yeah, and you can't. I would feel bad riding the horses in the middle of
Yeah.
summer because it's just too darn hot for them.
Yeah.
That's I don't know a lot about horses, but I know that
I have a feeling we're going to be going to the aquarium where it's less than
Right, I do want to go to that
indoors.
aquarium.
Yeah.
So there's an aquarium in Daytona we want to check out. So we
Yeah.
will let you know about that. We're going to go to that soon.
Yeah, because that at least is indoors, so it doesn't matter what time of year we go.
Right.
But yeah, it was so weird this year. It was literally 1 minute it's like 40 degrees, and the next minute it's like 100. It's like where'd spring go?
Yeah, we didn't get a spring this year at all.
I mean,
Not
we
really.
had an extended winter, but we didn't get a spring.
But like, subscribe, share, comment below.
Mhm.
We would love to hear from you.
Yeah.
You guys have a wonderful day.